Hi, it's Steve Hargadon, and welcome to the closing keynote for Library 2020 2.020, Wholehearted Library Soft Skills for 21st Century Information Professionals. Michael, thank you for being here. Stacie, you as well.
What an honor. Thanks.
Thanks to San Jose State University's School of Information. And Michael, if you'd move forward one slide. Thanks especially to Dr. Sandy Hirsch, who has been with us from the very beginning. Sandy, you've been a great partner. I'll turn some time over to you to let you talk for a minute.
Hi, everyone. And Steve's been a great partner too. This has been a fabulous partnership that we've been doing for the past, 10 years now. And it's been terrific. And I've been really delighted with this conference today. I hope everybody's been getting a lot out of the experience, and really it's been a good reflective time for us to think about the importance of soft skills. And I'm delighted now to turn this back over to Michael to introduce our closing keynote speaker. And again, it's our pleasure at San Jose State University to sponsor this event.
Sandy, thank you so much. Wait, let me check myself here.
You're good, Michael.
Okay, you can hear me. Okay, little bit of a lag here. Thank you so much. Welcome to the closing keynote. It is amazing. You think 3 hours, oh, 3 hours, and now it's like flown by. First, I want to introduce the person joining me for this closing keynote session. Joining me is Stacie Ledden, who is Director of Strategic Partnerships at Anythink Libraries in Colorado. I will say Stacie has guest chatted in my class, the Hyperlink Library at the School of Information, for years. Thank you, Stacie. And the students, we usually do it toward the end of the semester, they are just thrilled to hear about what Anythink is doing. And it's like, Stacie, you just have them, and they hang on your every word. So thank you for joining me here this afternoon. Before we dive in, and let me see how I did this here. Yeah, oh yeah, okay. I asked folks to share some stuff via Twitter. I might have did too big of an ask to ask for 3, 2, 1, but I just want to share a few little things before we dive in. I will say, I will share one of my things that amazed me just for me personally. I dropped into the session on meditation in the library by Jeremy Morlock, who was coming to us from even further north than I am, up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And he shared some interesting things. If you didn't get to go to that one, please take a look at the recording. He teaches meditation classes at his library, and he's had so much like nitty gritty, here's how you do it type things to say, but he also said that we can meditate even if we're out walking. And I walk a lot. I walk in the woods, as I said when we started, and I did not realize that that can be a form of meditation. So just real quick, just bear with me, everybody. I love this. This is from Twitter now, and this is just little snippets of takeaways that I think you may find inspiring. Danica R says, this is a quote, "We are all storytellers. We all live in a network of stories. There isn't a stronger connection between people than storytelling." And that's from Jimmy Neal Smith. Libraries change lives. Stories change lives. Let's share our stories with one another. And that's from, I believe, the Power of Stories session that I introduced for my colleagues from Australia right before this session. Celebrate achievements for your staff, certificates, scratch-off cards, receptions, etc. Learned all about the Healing Library during the Wholehearted Libraries Conference. I hope to implement in my library as well. I dropped in on that one as well. The Healing Library has kits that you can check out and take home if you're dealing with a certain issue like the loss of a loved one, loss of a family member, and all sorts of things. Session 3, library cat herding, holding the herd together without getting ripped to shreds. Somebody said, this is Marissa said, "I never realized why I procrastinate on extra tricky tasks." That's me too. That's amazing. That's wonderful stuff. Thanks to Mahogany Skillings for all the screenshots she shared too of the slides that really resonated with her, 6 areas of self-care. Here's another one from Danica, quoting Brene Brown. Here's what is truly at the heart of wholeheartedness. Worthy now, not if, not when. We are worthy of love and belonging now, right this minute as is. And that really taps into what Christian said when we started about being worthy and having that sense of belonging. So, so there's a lot going on. Follow the hashtag for the conference. I also put up all of the slides from our opening session as well as this one. So you can have those in Twitter, you can download them, and I'll try to get that one into the chat as well. So Stacie, welcome. Thank you for joining us. You were unable to be with us earlier because
Anythink was an honoree from for the Business for the Arts Award as part of the Colorado Business Committee for the Arts. And so we were honored along with 7 other businesses here from across Colorado for our commitment to supporting creativity in our community. Yay. And it was fabulous. It was fabulous.
Yay. Congratulations.
Thank you. This has been a really exciting day, and the governor was there, and they had incredible performers, and my heart is full and ready for our session here.
So here's the question that I asked to the panelists today, and I thought to get us into talking about what you're doing at your library, what does it mean to you to be a wholehearted library?
Well, the way that we think about libraries and our work is we really put people at the center. But essentially what we're trying to do at Anythink is help people fall in love with libraries. And we do that through, again, putting people at the center. And, you know, we are a values-based organization here at Anythink. We have 5 core values that we live by. This is not just what we live by at work. This is kind of how we live as individuals as well, but they are compassion for our customers and each other, eagerness to learn, passion for our product, everyone is creative, which we celebrated today, and optimistic attitude. We believe that anything is possible. And so, you know, we consider ourselves anythinkers. We describe ourselves as anythinkers, but our work comes from our heart, and the way that we interact with each other, the way that we interact with our community, our passion for wanting to create a better quality of life for the people and support people in their passions. I guess that's my short answer.
Yay. Cool. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about soft skills. Tell me a little bit about the skills that you look for anythinkers.
Absolutely. So we consider ourselves what we call a competency-based organization. So what that means to us is that we have 13 core competencies that every person in the organization is actually reviewed by, and we hire for these competencies. Our annual review processes look through the lens of these competencies. Everyone from the directors to frontline staff and everyone in between, the whole organization, this is how we guide our work. They are things like team building, teamwork, flexibility, emotional maturity. Our competencies are written in I am statements. So I should back up there and say, we phrase them as I am a team player. I am emotionally mature. I am flexible. I am creative. And the way that we think about this is that skills can be learned. So we can teach people how to use technology. We can teach our staff how to navigate our catalog. We can teach them how to shelve the books. But the attitude that people bring and those soft skills are really what we are looking for. That's more of the innate sense of a person, and they're harder to teach. And this is why we also, we try to hire happy people. We actually ask people in the interview process, what makes you happy? And it's not necessarily how they, what they respond with, it's how. Do their eyes light up? Are they excited to share their passions? It can actually really tell us a lot. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to be a happy person every day coming in with life's tough sometimes, but it's how we navigate those tough times too. And having that kind of passion and energy and being excited to share that with our community is something we're looking for.
That seems like it would teach you so much about a person to say what makes you happy, maybe more than one of those standard interview questions like, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Absolutely. And we got some great advice. A few years ago, we took our leadership team to a restaurant here in Denver called Mercantile Dining and Provision. They're known for their hospitality. And we talked with their manager there about how they hire. And that was actually an idea that we got from him, was to add that question. And one of the things that he talked about is how they tell their staff that when they interact with people throughout the day, there's only a small window of time that you have an impact on somebody's life. You don't know what life is like for them before they came, in this case, the library, and once they leave. So we have this small window to have an impact on someone. And that can be as simple as a smile. It can be as simple as helping to find something that they need. It can be the way that we train our staff on hospitality at Anythink, and the way that we describe this, we've taken from Danny Meyer, who's a restaurateur. He wrote the book, Setting the Table. And the way that he describes hospitality is knowing that someone's always on your side. And so when we think about that little window of time that we can have an impact on someone, helping people know that we are on their side is a big part of what we do.
That's absolutely. Earlier in the opening session, one of the folks in the room said a wonderful little reminder quote, inspirational thing: "Be kind because the person you're talking to is fighting their own battle."
Yeah,
absolutely. We've talked a bit about empathy as well, and I think that taps into it, to what we're looking at. What would you say we could do to increase empathy with our staff or get them thinking along those lines? One of the things that I threw out in some discussion was like an interview question, that something like, tell me about a time that you learned about other people.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
What did you take away from that? What are some of your thoughts on empathy and encouraging that with the staff?
I think a big part of that is looking outside ourselves, looking outside our industry, looking at in our community. One of the things that we're always doing is looking outside for inspiration. And honestly, one of the things, this is where my brain is today, but through the arts and culture, through the kinds of partners that we bring in and the conversations that we can facilitate in our spaces, whether that's for our staff, whether that is for our community, I think those help to build that empathy. That doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? You really have to be interacting and having those conversations and hearing those stories. I love that we just kicked this off with the power of storytelling, because really that's where it comes from, and seeing and interacting, but really being able to explore outside of the library walls, I think is a big way for us to build that and allowing that space for that to happen.
Okay, I want to tap into a little bit to the conversation here going on, and I really appreciate what folks are saying. Mina asked a question, and this is a hard one, so we'll see how we do with this, Stacie.
Yeah.
What do you do if you feel some of your staff may not have that level of empathy that is needed? Can we teach it? what happens to those folks that don't seem to be where they should be?
So, I think that there's a process for all of these things. I think these are learning moments. And really what it comes down to is really solid mentorship. None of us are alone in this, right? We have to rely on our peers, on our managers, on the directors, on keeping each other accountable. And so, learned empathy. I mean, I think life takes care of that sometimes, but
Absolutely.
I think that those are conversations and opportunities. Now, if you have somebody who's straight up, I mean, I think there are a lot of other indicators there. I mean, empathy is, or a lack of that is maybe a symptom rather than, so I think there are some other indicators there that would probably need to be conversations, but I think that mentorship and those deeper conversations are part of how you work through that.
Nice. Let's go back to storytelling, since you mentioned that as well. What story do you want to tell as Anythink Libraries? And I'm thinking about your title, which is a relatively new title, Director of Strategic Partnerships, which that sounds so cool.
Yeah.
What stories are you seeking to tell? At the library? What story do you want to be a part of?
So, really, so there are so many, but two things that I'll mention right now. As part of our current strategic plan, and this isn't necessarily something that we started out when we created Anythink of thinking of ourselves in this way, but our vision is that Anythink is the catalyst for innovation in our community. And we've seen this, just last year, our county commissioners were hosting a delegation from Japan. They're looking to do work in Adams County as part of our space center, and their first stop was Anythink, and they came to lunch and toured the library, this incredible group that had come all the way from Japan to Little Adams County, just north of Denver. So we have these different municipalities, organizations, nonprofits, et cetera, that are looking to Anythink as kind of this beacon of innovation. And to have come so far in the past 10 years that our community is looking to us for new ideas, for support of local business and entrepreneurship, for arts and culture amenities, is something that's really powerful. And that we need to continue to build and nurture and, continue to meet the needs of our community. One other piece that we're focusing on right now is the concept of Anythink as town square. So this is part of our strategic plan as well, but really it's the idea that, at the library, this is the place where people come to gather. It's the safe place where they can have dialogues about things that are really important to them that they may not feel comfortable having in other places. So that trusted place, that place for civic engagement, we're living in a time, as we all know, that's extremely polarized. And the only safe place that people have, and this isn't even really safe anymore, is like behind their keyboards. And but they're hungry for these opportunities for human connection and to come together and have important discussions about things in their community that mean a lot to them. And so a big focus for us right now is how do we create programming and opportunities for people to come together at the library to have these important discussions. And so that's a big story that we're hoping to tell. And then also, I mean, I know this is on everybody's minds too, like with the census and ensuring that all of our different communities are counted and represented, that the library is a place where we can help facilitate that, I think is a really powerful thing.
Nice. Wow, I really like that idea of the town square. Uh, in the opening session, Christian mentioned a sense of belonging is something that everybody is looking for. And I think that fits the bill well. I want to grab a couple questions out of the chat, which is going by so fast I can hardly read it. Paul says, what advice do you have for new MLIS graduates who have great soft skills but no library experience? How can they maybe like get in the door, get that interview?
I think for one of the things that we look for at Anythink is well-roundedness and passion. What are you passionate about? Do you have other interests? Do you have other areas that, because we talk a lot about, this is a weird way to put it, but value add, right? It's that, and I think that's part of that soft skills too. But if we want to support the creativity and the passion of our community, we have to start with our staff. And so I think that, you know, I mean, we all start somewhere. I love too that somebody had just wrote volunteer too.
Yes, I just saw that.
That's how I got my job at Anythink. Was I originally volunteered at Denver Public Library in their public information office, and then, you know, and ended up applying for a job at Anythink. And anyways, that was a long time ago, but I think that's a really great suggestion. But I think having those passions and interests and showcasing that you have a breadth of knowledge too, because the kinds of interactions that we're having on a day-to-day basis at the library are it's a little different, right? And so, you know, being able to connect with people is something that's really, really important.
Well, let me turn it around here and let me talk to all the people that are listening or will be watching the recording that are in the position to hire. Look closely at what people are sending you. If they do have that volunteer experience and they have that retail background that just went by. Right. I got in the library because I had a retail background in 1991, all way back in the day. But look for that, do we say the well-rounded person, or the person that is like doing all these different things, and the person that says, I love hiking and I love old movies and this and this and this, just to make them, again, bring all of that with them to do their work. Absolutely.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, our community is so varied, right? And they have varied interests. And, you know, some of the best conversations sometimes are, you know, it's not necessarily like, oh, we're both passionate about the same thing, even though those are great too. But it's like, we're both passionate about something, and here are random connections that we're making. And I think that's really great. And I think, being able, I know there's a lot of talk about retail in there, and that's so true, but that customer service, that again, putting people at the center, having experience, you know, with some of that, I think is really, really helpful as well.
Nice. The chat just roars on. I am watching the time. I want to say just a few things here toward the end. Stacie, is that cool with you?
Absolutely.
Okay, and here's what I want you to do. You dive in if you want to say something.
Okay.
All right, and I'm serious. Okay, because I am watching the time. We're winding up. I so appreciate everyone spending time with us. Here's what's been on my mind since we started. There really is just such a sense of kindness, kind of just coming out of the screen here, watching the chat go by and listening to our keynoters and getting to chat with Stacie this afternoon and dropping in on the sessions that I did. And really, you know, we don't talk about this all the time, but they're really, this is here too, you know, this idea of love and of taking care of people. And I've seen that go by in the chat as well. And just sort of thinking about how we respond to things. And I saw someone say, I experience anxiety and here's how I deal with it. To say that in a chat room of 100 people, you know, that takes a bit of courage as well. But I think that's where we need to be, and where we need to be talking about things like this, because it does help us sort of connect with others. So I didn't mention this, but the concept of hygge, which I know you, Stacie, a lot of the Anythink libraries have been built around this idea. This comes out of Denmark, of comfort and coziness and community. That's incredibly important as well, to kind of welcome people in, and the fireplace, and just
Yes.
just things as wonderful as that.
Absolutely.
Cool.
I just wanted to add really quick too, is that one of the things that you're touching on there is vulnerability. And it's something that we're
Yes.
so afraid of, and we put up so many walls, but creating a space where people can be vulnerable and connect with each other, and then allowing ourselves to do that, to connect with our staff and our community, I think is really important.
Absolutely. One of the best things to whatever your comfort level is to say to the people you work with, I deal with this in my life. Whatever, however you want to frame it, however little bit you want to share with, and I will do my best. I think that is huge, to be able to actually to vocalize. I think that helps you make steps forward. Oh, wow. Yeah. So things to think about. Please use your heart. Please know that kindness wins. I am so angry. I made a sign and I put it on the door of the library, and that accomplished nothing. Kindness wins. I haven't talked too much about dogs and such, but I wrote a piece a few years ago about Dozer, the hospice dog, and all the things I learned from him about compassionate service and compassionate leadership. And I really think all the folks drawn to our profession kind of bring that along with them. This is from the morning. I just want to show this to everybody again. I really do believe we are at the heart of our communities. And I think we've heard so many examples of how we are giving of ourselves because we are making that emotional investment, because we believe in our institutions and the communities we serve. So very quickly, the heart of libraries, we listen, we're listening to our users. That's, Stacie, that's what I hear you doing, looking at the town square, thinking about how you can meet the needs of folks. Of course, we listen, we teach in every sense of the word. And 4 years ago, we did one of these sessions, one of these conferences called the Library's Classroom. And it was all about this stuff. And guess what? We are still doing this, and it is still just as important. And we build community, and we welcome everyone in. I absolutely love these graphics. Thanks so much to the cool person that made this. And I opened today, just very quickly, I opened today talking about my conference in Australia a couple years ago. This was the theme, Roar, Leap, and Dare. What a great conference theme. It's cute, it works. That's what we want to do. I countered, I was a closing keynote. Here's what I think we need to do. We need to reflect, we need to breathe, and we need to love. And we need to help people experience joy. And I was so happy, Rivka did that, mentioned it in the opening session, joy. If I've done anything, and this is the last, I'm going to leave you all with this. Back in 2006, I said, I believe libraries should encourage the heart. Guess what? I still do. I'm feeling old now saying that 2006, but that's fine. But I really believe we should encourage the heart. And that means that we should lead from the heart, we should learn from the heart, and we should play from the heart. So there's so much here. There's so much goodness. Stacie, thank you for your time, for diving in with me in this last half an hour. I so appreciate you sharing your thoughts.
Absolutely. What an honor, and congratulations on a phenomenal day.
It's amazing. There's so much to take in. There's going to be recordings. There's going to be slides shared. There's going to be all these things. Please drop in on some of the sessions you did not get to attend. Reach out to us if you have more questions. Thank you so much. Thank you to Stacie. Thank you to Dr. Hirsch and Steve at Library 2.0 for giving us this platform to talk about these important things. Thank you all so much.